Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're having a look at the Chinese packs that are on sale for the 10th anniversary, and it's time to have a look at the A5C. So, pretty much what the A5C is an upgraded Q5. That means that its flight performance at 10.0 isn't the best. It's fast, but it isn't maneuverable at all. But actually that's not too much of an issue, because this thing actually gets countermeasures, unlike all the other, well, the earlier Q5s. One of them does get countermeasures, which is nice, and it shares a similar setup to the A5C. But 18 countermeasures may not seem like quite a lot, but with the way that flares work nowadays, and if you time it correctly, it can be completely fine to keep you alive. You just got to make sure to shut off the afterburner to these two massive engines that are in here. They have a huge heat sink on it as well. So in aerialistic, this thing can be a demon. And the major reason is because, as I said, it's quite fast and also gets access to magics. Magics are some of, if not the best missiles in the game. You got magic 1s and magic 2s. This one gets magic 1s at 10.0. So if you use these at 10.0 and you are fighting things which don't have countermeasures, they just die. They can't really do anything if you get a rear aspect lock. It's very hard to dodge a magic. Obviously they are quite susceptible to flares, so you got to pick your targets well, but that's like anything at this BR. Once you are done with your missiles, though, you don't really have too much going on. You know, you're not very maneuverable, and also you have these guns, these 23mm Type 23 2Ks, which are probably the worst guns at this BR. They're very low velocity, they don't really hit very hard, so they're not very good. So you are 2 missiles and done as a vehicle. They just are the best missiles in the game. This thing doesn't have any other extra things as well, it just has an RWR, so you know when you've been locked by a radar. But it does get access to bombs and also access to rockets, and you can bring these along, I believe, with the missiles, as you can see. The custom loadouts are set up on this thing, so you can kind of bring what you want. So this thing can be useful in setup for, you know, ground realistic as well. At 10.0, it's probably not the best machine there, but then again, China's options are pretty limited at those BRs. But if you want to use this to get to some of the barnstormers, like the J7E, for example, then it's not a bad thing to do. A lot of people look down on the Chinese tech tree because there's not a ton of like unique vehicles, but what I gotta say, the highest echelon of the game, where you have stuff like the J7E, you can see that they can be pretty good, and even stuff like Q5s, for example, can be pretty nuts as well, at least in the previous matchmaking. The tree gets looked down upon. It shouldn't be. It's a very fun tree, and the A5C can be one of the reasons you can research through it. For the ground portion, you have the ZTZ-96AP. This is a fantastic vehicle at the end of the day, and for me, I really enjoy it. It has a few things which make it better than stuff like the T-72 and worse than the T-72. This thing has access to thermals, which is really nice. The thermals are alright as well, and also it gets access to the 125-1 or 125i round. And since it's a premium, you get it straight away. This round is really good. You can see by its stats at 9.7, it's fantastic. It also has some really nice smoke grenades, and at the same time, it does have the electro-optical active protection system, but it's not very useful at this BR. No one's really firing wire-guided stuff, apart from maybe some light tanks, but even then, you know, they don't really get affected by it. The optics are really nice on this thing. The major issues this has is the reload. The reload is not great. It is auto-loaded, so you don't have to worry about crew skills, but there are a lot of things that will out-reload you. The targeting speed on the gun is actually better than stuff like the T-72s, which is really nice. The survivability is okay on the turret. The major reason why the survivability is okay is not because you have great armor, it's because it's very hard to one-shot this thing if you turret down. You can take out the breach, you can take out the gunner or commander, but you can't really finish it off if this thing's hull down. Instead, you have to shoot it like here or low glacis or in the side, just like you do stuff like other Chinese vehicles and Soviet things. The 9.7 BR as well for China is not bad. You know, you have the ZLT you can bring along, the ZTZ-96A standard, the standard ZTZ-96, and also the PG-04, which isn't a very good AA, but it's there at least. So as a BR range, it's not too shabby. You also have a few options you can bring in the air as well, just for a little bit of support. I wish it was slightly better, but then also you have some of the helicopters you can bring, which are pretty good, like the Z9WA. So you do have, as I said, options. I think overall, though, the WMA was a much better purchase, just because it's also at rank 6 and at a much better BR for China. And then also stuff like the ZTZ59 was a pretty decent pickup as well. But if you're looking for a pack, this one's not bad. And, you know, you'll experience top tier without having to experience top tier. The Z19E is also on sale right now, and this one's really good. It kind of is a little bit slept on, but it has some really nice factors to it. So it has the TY90 missile, which did get nerfed a little bit, but it's still really, really good. So I've seen a lot of people with this thing. What they do is they wait, basically, near helicopter spawns or near air spawns, and then if you ever spawn in anything, people just hit you with the TY90s, which is a little bit rude, but it's not too bad. Also gets access to the Blue Arrow 9. This is a pretty decent ATGM. You know, it's laser guided, which is always nice. Its firing range at 6 kilometers is not the best that we see at these BRs, but it's good enough. So I think generally it's pretty good to see. Then also you get rockets and guns and all of that good stuff. It gets thermals, it gets countermeasures, it gets all the standard stuff that you'd want from a helicopter. It doesn't necessarily have the same survivability as others, just because it doesn't have as many systems on board, but you can see it still has quite a lot of them, which work incredibly well. And with the Chinese helicopter tree coming into the game, there are some really nice kind of, I suppose, air-to-air defense helicopters because of the missiles that you can bring out. It's going to be really good in stuff like PvE as well, and also in other lineups. You know, you do have a 10-7 lineup for China. And also, you could probably bring it in at 11.0 after you get the Z10. One of the issues with this is it doesn't actually have a mounted gun. You need to use the guns if you want to, so you're very much reliant on your missiles, but the missiles are really good, so it doesn't really matter. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Forge, Siegebreak, Carrion Crow, Nicholas Richardson, Elove Goat, Pyman, Winter Scientist, Merciless Reaper, Orange Tail, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, and also Sem Arslan, Wilkski, Uncle Bean, Derek R., Bareen, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.